He is trying to contact aliens.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the best documentary films that cover stories, legends, and concepts involving that which science cannot fully explain. We will not be including any docuseries, because that will have its own list another day.
He doesn't have a face. His skin is white.
Number 10. Hunt for the Skinwalker.
Things that you would think the government would find too far out.
Will any of the fingers be pointing toward Skinwalker Ranch?
Names don't get much creepier than Skinwalker. Said creature is part of Navajo culture, and it's said to be a witch that can possess people and animals. Unfortunately, not much is known about the lore outside of the Navajo culture, as they are very secretive and protective of the story.
Well, you could compare it to the nymph that you hear of werewolves, like an individual that turns into an animal-type being. Most of them are very reluctant to talk about it.
In the 2018 documentary Hunt for the Skinwalker, director Jeremy Kenyon Lockyer Corbell, hunts for the Skinwalker. To do so, he uncovers the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, a large area of Utah that is said to be a paranormal hotspot. As is often the case with these types of documentaries, we don't get many answers, but the journey sure is fun.
This is a hunt for answers to unformed questions, a hunt for the unknown. And the answers have been hiding at a ranch at the center of it all.
Number 9, The House in Between.
It was a patch of tunnel of daylight from the ceiling to the floor, and it was daylight in this tube of light, and it was pitch black in the rest of the room.
Let's just say right off the bat, The House in Between is an awesome title for a horror movie. Directed by Steve Gonsalves and Kendall Welpton, The House in Between tells the creepy story of a regular, unassuming house that is supposedly haunted by paranormal entities. The film is sort of a cross between ghost hunting shows and a real-life paranormal activity.
Things that have moved, lights that have turned off. It's something different than just a paranormal investigation.
Investigators comb through the place with all their fancy gadgets, and the static cameras that are placed strategically around the house give off vibes of the famous Ghost movie. As its own tagline suggests, the documentary is scary because it's real.
I think the electrical's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I think you're looking at something else.
Number 8. Killer Legends.
One of the interesting appearances of the hook was in November 1960 when it actually appeared in the Dear Abby column, and it's something that a lot of people would have read.
The Hook, The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs, Killer Clowns, People Poisoning Halloween Candy. These are urban legends that everyone knows, and they are explored in the 2014 documentary Killer Legends. The film is directed by Joshua Zeman, and this won't be the last time that you hear his name. Killer Legends sees Zeman and Rachel Mills investigating the 4 famous stories and trying to find the truth behind them. That is, if there is any truth at all.
For Rachel and me, this is an attempt to uncover the source of our nightmares as we pull back the curtains on what it is we all fear.
Are they purely fabricated? Are they stories with kernels of history? Are they based on real events? These are questions that the atmospheric film hopes to answer. And if they enticed you in any way, you owe it to yourself to check it out.
Lost in time when a section of the park was turned into housing, this was one mystery we were determined to solve.
Number 7. Ghosts on the Underground.
I asked him if he'd like me to go and have a look. He said he would, as he'd seen somebody wearing white overalls standing in the entrance to the eastbound tunnel.
There are a bajillion ghost documentaries about haunted houses, but what about haunted subways? Stay with us, it's not as silly as it sounds. Ghosts on the Underground explores the fascinating history of the London Underground, the city's primary transit system that began operating in the 1860s. The documentary is full of your usual ghost happenings, with witnesses sharing creepy stories and pieces of supposed evidence.
I know that I did see this image of a woman.
And all I could do was just sit and look.
It's a little unnerving.
To this day, I can't forget it.
What's most interesting about the doc is its sense of history. It goes into great depth exploring the life of the London Underground and its dark association with ancient crypts and plague pits. London is an old city with a ton of history, and Ghosts on the Underground analyzes it in a unique and ultimately creepy way.
He checked over 100 cameras, and there was no one to be seen.
Number 6. Cropsey.
Later as teenagers, we assumed Cropsey was just an urban legend, a cautionary tale used to keep us out of those buildings. and to stop us from doing all those things the teenagers like to do.
Remember how we said we'd return to Joshua Zeman? Well, here he is again. Co-directed with Barbara Brancaccio, Cropsy is perhaps Zeman's most famous film, and it shares a common theme with killer legends. Like it, Cropsy examines the history of an urban legend. In this case, New York City's Cropsy.
Don't go behind the Sherwood bunks. Cropsy's out there.
Zeman and Brancaccio argue that the legend stemmed from old kidnappings perpetrated by a Staten Island man named Andre Rand. Rand is currently incarcerated for 2 kidnappings, although he is suspected of many more. Cropsy is a chilling documentary that explores the Rand case, how it may have shaped the legend of Cropsy, and why we often have a penchant for shaping dark history into folklore.
As kids, we never thought we'd learn the real story behind Cropsy. Instead, Rand was sent to prison, and the stories just faded away.
Number 5, The Mothman Legacy.
You know, Main Street used to be very hustle and bustle, and after the bridge fell in the 60s, that kind of broke off that connection.
Ever heard of the Mothman? Of course you have. While the legend has a very specific time and place, 1960s Point Pleasant, the legend has spread far beyond the mid-century borders of West Virginia, and that's what the Mothman Legacy explores.
I think it just lends to the idea that whatever Mothman was, it is kind of an archetype.
Directed by Seth Breedlove, who is known for his documentaries on cryptids, the Mothman Legacy explores the, legacy of Mothman and how sightings have persisted throughout Appalachia. It's a must-watch film for anyone interested in this specific story, or for anyone who has a vague interest in the paranormal art of cryptozoology.
I thought maybe it was an owl or something, but it just kept getting closer and closer and louder and louder.
Number 4, Aerial Phenomenon.
We asked them to draw pictures of what they saw on Friday, and after looking at those, I definitely feel that they did see something.
You can probably guess what this documentary is about. While yes, it is about UFOs, the title does not refer to general aerial phenomena. Rather, it's about the aerial school in Zimbabwe. Back in September of 1994, dozens of children reported seeing a UFO land in a yard near the school.
The children had seen a UFO landing, and these funny men in body-clinging suits, black suits, weird.
Black creatures then emerged from the craft and spoke telepathically with the children before departing. Aerial Phenomenon tells this story through a few specific people, including a disgraced Harvard psychiatrist and a now-grown student who returns to the school. It's a fantastical story told with humanity and tenderness, sort of like a Spielberg movie brought to life.
So would you want to talk about it to friends or other people you meet in the future when you get older, or do you want to just forget about it?
No, I don't want to forget about it. I want to keep it in because I know that it was true, and I want to talk to other people about it.
Number 3, Beware the Slenderman.
Police say the suspects were inspired by a character on a website called Creepypasta, a site filled with scary stories.
Most folklore dates back centuries, so watching a new story form is fascinating. The folklore in question is that of the Slender Man, a large white humanoid figure created on the Something Awful forum. Slenderman proved an incredibly successful creepypasta and later became the subject of some popular video games.
Slenderman is the modern-day boogeyman. Because it's faceless, because it's quiet, because it doesn't speak words, is open to a lot of interpretation.
Unfortunately, this story led to a tragic stabbing in 2014, which saw 2 girls harming another in order to appease the fictional monster. Luckily, the victims survived. HBO's Beware the Slenderman details this tragic story and examines how both folklore and internet fun can often have very real and very dangerous consequences.
Slenderman.
Number 2, John was trying to contact aliens.
And I'll start it up. And we'll start generating.
Sometimes paranormal documentaries reveal compelling things about the human condition. This is certainly the case with Netflix's John was trying to contact aliens. The John in question is John Shepard, a man who spent 3 decades broadcasting music into space in the hopes of making contact with extraterrestrial life forms.
I started building the electronic equipment to make contact with whatever might be out there beyond the Earth.
Usually, these types of stories present the protagonist as aloof and obsessive, but this doc proves quite the opposite. It is very tender in its depiction of Shepard, his motives, and his emotional journey. Running a very swift 16 minutes, There is no excuse for skipping this one, especially if you're a fan of aliens and how they shape our earthly culture.
To find someone that is on the wavelength that I am on and be able to share my life with that person in any degree or way is nearly impossible, although I believe it exists. I believe for everybody there's someone.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Demon House.
Then I'm suddenly in front of a door, and I can't control my body. And the door opens, and a 12-foot-tall goat figure is standing there.
If you enjoy the paranormal, then you certainly know Zach Baggins. Arguably the most famous ghost hunting show of all time, Ghost Adventures has aired hundreds of episodes throughout the years and has made Baggins a household name in the paranormal community. And if you like Ghost Adventures, then you'll very likely enjoy Demon House.
In regards to that matter, it's sometimes even thinking about it again to kind of just throw me back into a series where I don't want to go back to.
Basically a 2-hour episode of the show, Demon House sees Baggins and his crew investigating a famous house in Gary, Indiana that is said to be haunted. Baggins is a master of the paranormal craft, and watching him work is always entertaining. Add in some genuinely creepy and convincing evidence, and you have yourself a memorable documentary.
What'd you see?
There was a face.
Could you get any details or anything?
I think you know what I saw, bro.
What noteworthy paranormal docs did we somehow miss? Tell us in the comments below.
They knew what they'd seen. They weren't stupid. Children are so much more open than adults.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.